All right, and we're back with it. All right, and we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald coming right back at you here, and it's that time of the month. That's right. It's a TV update for you. It's that time again, and we just truly appreciate her coming back every time she comes back on. She was on earlier this month, but now she's in here for her regular April TV report. It's my good friend. You know her as one of the lead writers for the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out what she's doing today at the TVRatingsGuide.com, where they do a lot of reviews. Cancel Renew Index. They've got a great one for each and every network out there, plus all the great stuff that they're doing as far as their original content and so much more. It is the TVRatingsGuide.com. I think you guys got to pay me for that over the TVRatingsGuide.com. I think I earned some cash there. Been doing it for almost two years now, so I don't know. The check's in the mail, I know. It is my good friend, Miss Jessica Boggs. And Jessica, great to have you back on the program one more time. A lot of stuff going on when it concerns everybody staying at home. They're watching a lot of stuff out there, so I'll first hit up CBS because I think that's the one that's most topical at this point in time. God has not been so friendly to God Friended Me.
Yes, and we saw the news report like yesterday, and maybe it was a couple days ago that God Friended Me got canceled after 2 seasons, which is a rare season 2 cancellation for CBS.
And that's something disappointing. I know that they're going to have a 2-hour finale, is what I'm told, I believe, later this month. Is that correct?
I haven't heard about that, but they almost did that with Hawaii Five-0, and it only ended up being 1 hour.
Yeah, that's so weird because they were advertising it for Hawaii Five-0 for over a week, 2 weeks, that it was going to be a 2-hour finale. And I think, in my house, outside of myself, because I really think the show is just formulaic, even though it's on the beautiful islands of Hawaii, which I just truly enjoy and think it's really cool there. But it is still a formulaic show. It was still promised, it seemed like on social media, because my whole family called and they gathered around expecting a 2-hour, and it didn't happen. So I want to know why that they spaced out the finale over 2 episodes in 2 weeks as opposed to what they were promising in a 2-hour. Where was the mix-up? Because their site still indicated that it was supposed to be a 2-hour episode.
Well, it was kind of like a bad timing, really. And I don't know how they decided to edit the Hawaii Five-0 finale over 2 episodes and convert it into 1. I mean, it has happened before, but no one. It's been rare, pretty much.
And I also wanted to say God Friended Me will end on an April 26th 2-hour finale. As of right now, because you don't know with CBS, because they might do the bait and switch again. But as of now, April 26th from 8 to 10, that's where they're going to go ahead and do a 2-hour finale, because God Friended Me, I guess after 2 seasons, is an early cancellation for them. Unfortunate for those fans, but it's something, I guess, that Sunday slot is a really hard slot to maintain and keep getting fans to go ahead and watch it. CBS has always had issues on the weekends.
Yeah, it's always had issues at the 8 p.m. hour on Sunday. It's only like football inflated for the fall, and then it gets worse from there.
Well, NBC, CBS, and also Fox, they all become reliant on the football ratings, drawing everything into those days. And once the NFL goes away for the off season, you actually see the amount of fans that are really intrigued with whatever products. And I see on the weekends with CBS, it's just been hard for them. They dump a lot of shows there at times. Sometimes they do try to go ahead and put a show, for original content right there. But sometimes you see it become a dumping ground for some of their, lesser successful shows.
Well, yeah. And lately on CBS, it's become more of a syndication farm. I mean, you'd expect Friday to be a syndication farm, but their Sunday shows are doing much worse than their Friday shows.
And that's something to think about because our Friday shows, they have been somewhat of a mainstay for them because of what happens with Hawaii Five O and also Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods has been something that they've, with the syndication, like you talk about syndication, so much for them depends on Blue Blood and what it does, because that is like really out there in syndication at this point in time. And then with Hawaii Five O, what is the real reason behind that as far as 10 seasons done? It's not because of the ratings. You look at the ratings, and if you were like right now, if it was just a show that was still playing, you were automatically renewing that show.
Yes, and the reason why Hawaii Five-O ended this season is because there was actors that wanted to call it quits. Same thing with Supernatural.
I think it was the lead actor, if I'm not mistaken.
Alex McLaughlin.
Yeah, he's one of the producers on. So he just looks like he was mailing it in on the last few episodes because he just looks tired. He just looks tired. He just looks like he was going through the motions. So I can't say I blame him, but still, you have that type of successful show, and it's really hard to follow for individuals like that. So I know some people there are probably a little bit disappointed that they didn't go ahead and longer. Didn't go ahead longer. I know a lot of fans are because it was a very successful show, even to the end of its days.
Correct. And it has been a CBS Friday mainstay for quite a while now. And now that has been taking over. Its slot has been filled by Magnum PI, although Magnum PI is not doing as well. It's still doing pretty solid in the Friday time slot.
Well, that was something that you and I had spoke about last year as being on the bubble. So it looks like that. Yeah, I know it's not doing as successful as Hawaii Five-O. It still has that Hawaii theme, but anything at this point in time in the right direction for it is something good because again, it just solidifies it even more as being something that hopefully will stay on the air for years to come for fans of that show. But this time last year, we were talking about it possibly being canceled. In fact, it was looking and leaning more in that direction.
Oh, correct. But the ratings, as far as it goes, from January onward, I'd been looking much better than the rest of the dramas, sans NCIS and FBI.
I think it got a big rub from Hawaii Five-O. I think when they had those joint shows together, I think it got a lot of rub from Hawaii Five-O. And I heard in the near future that there'll be some guest appearances by Hawaii Five-O stars on the show. So fans can still get their Hawaii Five-O fix on Magnum PI in upcoming episodes. So that's some good news there. But there's still a lot more to talk about when it concerns the TV ratings out there. I mean, overall, just doing a blanket, like we talked about earlier this month, there is more people at home. So that's leading to larger ratings overall because I see series high, I see season high, I see a lot of these shows have those successful episodes right now because more people are at home watching. So for the most part, and we'll touch on the other part here in a little while, but for the most part, it looks like that these shows right now are being watched by more people than in a long time.
Well, yeah, but we've seen NBC's New Amsterdam hit a season high in the 9 o'clock time slot this past week.
Absolutely, and that's something that NCIS has still maintained its high levels, and so many other shows have reached those type of plateaus, which is good. I mean, people aren't home, they're watching TV. If that's the case, that's good for those broadcast networks that you and I have said for many years now have been on the extreme decline. And it is due to very unfortunate circumstances. I get that. I understand that. And obviously you really, in a real world scenario, really would not want that to take place. The reason why there's so many people at home watching TV, but at least they're watching more broadcast television. That's helping broadcast television at least a little bit. I know it's going to be a 12 to 24 month boost only, as it will probably in the by this time 2022, 2023 probably go back down to whatever level that we were talking about before the crisis. But at least for now, it's a benefit to broadcast networks and also cable networks that are out there right now.
Oh yeah, and cable right now is getting the biggest boost of is seeing the greatest benefit of the ratings boost from COVID-19 at the moment.
How so? Which networks are benefiting from it the most? Are it going to be more reality based? Is it more procedural television? Is it more HBO premium cables? Is it basic? Who is trending the best? I mean, outside the news channels, because we know Fox, we know CNN, we know those are I see them regularly getting 5, 6 million. In the case of CNN, 2, 3, 4 million. I see them going ahead and spiking with those ratings that they're very strong on now. But taking those two and MSNBC out of the equation, who from an entertainment perspective is benefiting the most from this unfortunate event?
Well, you see, well, the biggest, besides that, we know TBS is somewhat making a benefit, and we know that History Channel is seeing a boost right now, even though it's always been somewhat high rated.
But History Channel, a lot of people are checking out, going back because they have the time now to watch these type of programming watch the type of programming that they offer. That's not a surprise. How about other networks like TNT or USA? Some of these other general entertainment channels. I know USA is, up there, and FX and all that. What are some of these general entertainment networks doing? You said TBS has seen a lot of benefits from it, but what are some of these other networks doing?
AMC is seeing some benefit from it, with Better Call Saul going up about 700s from the last week. So it's still pretty steady. We know Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws is doing okay about that. We see the biography type thing doing okay. And you see FX remaining steady at the moment.
It's even getting to the point, and I should have mentioned this, and I'll probably edit this into the front part of the program when it concerns CBS. It's even gotten to the point where CBS on the weekends is heading back to the movies.
You okay over there?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, no, because CBS is going to be running old movies such as Jurassic Park, I think Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're going to be running a lot of movies in the near future. So I thought I'd add that in, and I was going to edit it in the front. That with CBS on the weekends, it's getting
and
to
a few other networks, sir.
Yeah. So CBS is going to, like I said, CBS is getting to the point where it's going to be running these old classic movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, et cetera, that it's getting to the point where their problems on the weekend is necessitating something different, something a return to somewhat familiar for older audiences, and this could be the ticket to get some at least short-term ratings out there. So interesting ploy by what CBS is going to be doing. But getting back to what we we're talking about with the cable networks out there, are you seeing any other trends from out there as far as, let's say, the HGTV, some of the other reality networks, because those seem to be the type of shows that are steady, always seem to have their audience, but could find in a pandemic that's unfortunate like this, see a big boost in the type of ratings that they have.
Well, yeah, but we also see that we also see reality shows remaining steady. It has its own audience, but it seems like cable news networks are seeing the biggest boost, and because people want to hear more about COVID-19 right now, and people are freaking out about that.
That they are. So many different outlets, so many different networks are running those type of specials and those type of commitments to what's going on and updates, because everybody wants to know what's going on, because there's so much that's out there, so much that's unsure about what's going on in the future for everybody on the planet going forward for this, how they treat this disease and how they fight against it, and all that. So we're very unsure at this point in time. So yeah, everybody's trying to go ahead and find out what's going on. So anything relating to coronavirus seems to go ahead and get some big numbers. Before we head on out, or actually, there's still much more to talk about. And I know there's ratings when it comes to your old standby, the CW and ABC, and some of the other great networks, Fox, that are out there. So before we go ahead and talk about some wrestling wars, or lack thereof, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on with the rest of the broadcast networks that are out there.
We know that ABC is still looking at a short-term boost from not only the comedies, but the dramas as well. The dramas have remained steady, whereas the Goldbergs pretty much stopped its bleeding, even though it's down 25% this season. And so overall, COVID-19 pretty much lessened the bleed at the moment for ABC. CBS, it just pretty much solidified the viewership, and Fox has seen season highs from, or near season highs from, Masked Singer, which is why more people are watching that right now than anything on NBC or ABC at the moment, as far as the reality front goes.
Well, it's something that we have to think about as far as what's going on within the landscape of TV right now. And anybody who's seeing big numbers from this, any shows, any networks at this point in time, being able to sustain it is going to be the key after this period ends of stay at home, quarantine, what have you. I mean, I get the fact that, again, at least through the end of this year, possibly even through the end of next year, I mean, more television viewing and higher television viewing is going to be a way of life. It's after that, in 2022 and beyond, how are these networks and TV shows going to be able to go ahead and provide enough content, enough interesting content to sustain those type of ratings, to get people tuned in week after week after week, because you can have those issues where everybody's watching now, but they're not watching later.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like the thing, but streaming may get its biggest boost for the later on part in the delayed aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have the +3s and +7s for these shows, those are still being adhered to and watched by a lot of people. I know there's a lot of shows that you and I have talked about over the course of the past couple of years that have benefited greatly from the +3s and +7s. But, there's still also the fact that even though there is a short-term boost for these broadcast networks and these cable networks, the streaming outlets, with Quibi just coming online this month, and you've got HBO Max and Peacock still on the way. Just can't believe they call it Peacock, but that's another story. And Disney Plus saying that they now have over 50 million subscribers. Netflix is now actually more valuable to Wall Street right now than Disney. Imagine that. I never would have thunk that. When I was receiving the DVDs in the mail way back when, 10 years ago. But it's a different time at everything's going on so weird. It's just evolving all over the place. But eventually people have got to go ahead and decide what's going on. What do they want to prefer more, streaming format or broadcast format? And right now they're able to have the time to go ahead and watch both evenly. But at some point in time, I think the marketplace is going to trend even more aggressively towards the streaming market.
That's correct. And you've seen already streaming go up like double digits. Like I'm pretty sure it was as high as 22% on the last update.
And that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, I think I made a mistake, and I do want to apologize for that. It was 22%, but not from the last year. It's from the last week. At that time we spoke earlier this month, so that was from the end of May to the third week of May to the fourth week of May. It was a difference of 22% jump. That's when really people started to stay at home, and so that's when you really saw that jump. If you're talking about from last year, it's more than double what it was last year. So I should have said that. So I apologize. So I'm correcting myself now. So obviously it's gone even up further since then as far as the viewing is concerned. So I want to hear your thoughts on just the fact that there's so much consumption out there in streaming. I think ultimately these broadcast and cable companies could be put out of business. Not now. The coronavirus is delaying it now, but at some point in time in the future, there could be an end to a lot of these smaller networks.
There may have already has been an end to like the stronger networks, but unless the networks make a deal with these streaming things or create their own streaming services, not like you see with NBC Universal and all the networks that are partnering with this new streaming service, then you get to see the money decline unless they make the deal happen, like with retransmission fees and all that.
Well, it is unfortunate as far as for the broadcasting cable networks. We're going to have to see what happens. But as long as the trend is going ahead towards streaming, as long as the content is going in favor there, because we're seeing now, even when it comes to movies heading over to streaming format, with Trolls World Tour, that had the biggest debut ever on streaming for a movie as far as it's concerned, going to digital right away. Now, mind you, that was a movie that could have had some success. I mean, Mulan was scheduled 2 weeks before it. Black Widow was scheduled 2 weeks after it, and it would have been counter programming to the Bond movie that was supposed to come out, I believe, around the same point in time. So it would have seen some success in and around those three movies. I think about 100 to 150 million. I was probably guessing off the top of my head, but it still would have found some success. And even though the success of digital can't replace that entirely, the biggest opening ever for digital, that's a good sign for these movies that are going straight to digital, that they can find some success going forward.
Well, yeah, and that's because the theaters are closed and are deemed non-essential by state governments.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's still going to continue, at least for the short term. It's wreaking havoc on the movie schedule for all these movies who want to stay in a theatrical format. And you're seeing the reshuffling, and we're talking about the reshuffling almost on a weekly basis here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. At least we're reporting it on our social media. So yeah, it's something that's very interesting as we're observing along. You cannot make up, even though it was record numbers for Trolls World Tour, it cannot make up, no matter how well it did, what it could have done in the box office, then going to digital and making some money there, as opposed to what it's doing now. But at least it's a decent sign going forward that people are seeing these first run movies going to digital and accepting them and embracing them in some form or fashion. I mean, you just can't replace everybody watching it and paying one price as opposed to all the different people going ahead to the theaters and paying the price of ticket for each. So you can't replace that, but at least it's still somewhat of a good sign that people are watching streaming services or watching movies that go straight to digital. But for one last thing, go ahead.
And I think also, yeah, I think as we're moving on to like the the cable and broadcast shows that are not seeing a huge boost in cable right now, who's seeing the biggest decline? I'm guessing we're moving on towards Wrestling Wars.
Oh yeah, well that's we are. And first off, before we go into the Wrestling Wars, I've just received word that unfortunate passing. I don't know why it's not said as of yet, but as of this recording, WWE longtime ring announcer Howard Finkel. I mean, most people know him as the Fink. He was there for many WrestleManias, many Madison Square Garden, matches that took place. Some of the biggest matches in WWE history. He has ring announced for. He unfortunately has passed away at the age of 69. So our thoughts are with his family and also the WWE universe, and it's a very sad sign indeed. But just paying our respects here at the Pop Culture Cosmos for everything he contributed. But speaking of the Wrestling Wars, and I'm just going to say right now, people are not liking the closed arenas. I think they thought it was a novelty at first, and the numbers were remaining somewhat decent in the beginning, but people are liking it less and less and less. And I understand just the sheer monetary value of having the crowd there, obviously, because you're generating all more income and all that. But I think for the television viewer, they are desiring it as well, because after the WrestleMania that took place, it's obviously not led to better ratings, which it usually does as a short-term spike each and every year. It's leading to a much bigger downturn and some historically bad numbers for Raw and also AEW as well.
Well, yeah, and I think on WWE you can, in the long term, you can definitely see Vince McMahon playing somewhat of a factor, because there have been reports that he refused to stop live events on the wrestling front. I mean, just put repeats on. Like, don't risk the health and safety of
the wrestlers themselves.
Yeah, and not just that, but the ring announcers and everything else.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in the case of WWE, I'm not sure with AEW and TNT's agreement, because I know that's for 3 years. I don't know what that entails as far as the specifics are concerned. I can tell you from my investigation and research into what several reports have said, including from OneWrestling.com and the Wrestling Observer and all that. They reported that the WWE. I'll just wait till you.
Oh, might want to go back ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm just, whenever you're putting on earphones and like that, earbuds, I'm just not going to talk because it. But anyways, this one of the few problems with earbuds. Otherwise, it works great, and you don't have a beard. My friend who was using them had a beard. You could hear the. Anyways.
It literally fell out of my ears.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's anything beats the computer mics that are out there, especially the omnidirectional ones that wreak havoc on my post-production. But heading back to the WWE, I mean, the numbers there are bad. They're under 2 million, and people are not liking it as far as the closed arena settings. But in the case of the WWE, as I was saying, it's a monetary issue because they have to, their agreements with the USA Network, their agreements with Fox and all that, they're required to produce X amount of live shows for entire year. So they have to produce, the majority of their shows have to be live, or else it's a monetary cut that they're going to face. So they're basically, if they don't put on live shows, they don't get money. They don't get enough. They don't get as much money. They'll get a cut in their pay or cut in the contract, things of that nature. And that is obviously something right now very big and very meaningful to the company. So they had to make a financial decision. You can go into political detail all you want as far as whatever, Florida governor saying that WWE is essential. And if you say it's not essential, if you say it is essential, that's on you. I don't want to go ahead and get into that detail because I think that's a debate. I don't know, in and of itself, if you think the WWE is essential, I don't think it is. But anyways, um, it just gets to me to the point where it was a monetary decision to keep going. It's a monetary decision to keep airing live shows. And WWE is cutting costs. They cut over 15 to 18 wrestlers yesterday as we're recording this. They cut several producers or furloughed several producers and referees and other WWE personnel. So they're making cuts and furloughs like virtually every other company is in America. But yes, the reason why that they're still running live shows is strictly monetary based. When it's about money, it's always, when you say it's about money, it is always about money.
Yeah, and there's people that refuse to go back to wrestling because of this, especially on the WWE front.
Absolutely, and this is. I don't think it's going to irreparably. I don't think it's going to permanently damage the company because obviously they were just one Stone Cold Steve Austin away from getting back to a boom in wrestling, and they're always one Stone Cold Steve Austin attitude era away from that type of deal. I mean, you're always trying to recreate that popularity, and so maybe someday down the road they will have that once again that will spark the interest of general consumer audience. It's not right now, but maybe someday they will. Same thing with AEW. They're just one superstar away from really attaching itself to a larger audience. That's always the case with pro wrestling. But for right now, they are seeing some downtimes, but there are some necessities at hand that they're having to go through. They are putting lives of wrestlers at risk. I'm not loving it personally, but again, there are some business decisions to be made by both the wrestlers and the companies involved, and that to me is concerning. But as what happens, we got to go forward.
Yeah, and that's making some impact on the ratings itself, and it's not necessarily a good thing long term.
No, it isn't, Jessica. I mean, you've got WWE again. Like I said, their Raw is under 2 million viewers for really the first extended time ever in its history. SmackDown is also under 2.5 million viewers. Actually, it's right around 2.2, 2.1 million viewers on Fox. It's getting a distant. I think it's last among the broadcast networks on Friday nights. So that's not a good sign from what we were talking about when we were hoping that Fox would be able to go ahead and promote SmackDown, and SmackDown would be much better as a representation on Fox. Unfortunate to see there. But AEW, which initially had a high upon this, coronavirus stay-at-home type deal, has seen the numbers plummet to the 600,000-700,000s. They've lost 200,000-300,000 viewers at times week over week, and that's also a shame too because they're right now in the area of what they are with NXT that's also airing on Wednesday nights. And right now, again, I think it's just a lack of interest in the overall products because of what they're able to showcase in a closed arena environment. It's just not as fun to watch, and it's just not as interesting.
Yeah, I think until the stay-at-home orders are lifted, which could be another month or two, or maybe even into next year, we don't know for sure, those ratings are going to continue to go down, or at least stay at that level to stop the bleeding.
There's a hardcore audience that will watch it. We're now seeing what that hardcore audience amount is. I don't think it'll bottom out much more on the WWE and on AEW side, but it's getting close to the bottom. I think there's a floor that there's a hardcore audience that's going to follow it no matter what. But I think that hardcore audience floor is getting closer and closer to that point in time. But we'll have to wait and see how this continues, how the ratings continues to go ahead and be in flux as we go forward. Just as continual updates, you catch them right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos on our Facebook page, but also you can catch it at the TVRatingsGuide.com. Jessica, before we head on out, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. What's going on at the TVRatingsGuide.com and why people need to tune into the TVRatingsGuide.com?
Well, we have renew, cancel articles. We update it fairly regularly, and we also have editorials. We still got TVRGO scripts running. That we will be running those in the summer, so people will remain kind of like entertained. Plus, we have an off-topic thread where people just congregate in the comments section, talk about whatever bothers people or whatnot. That's literally the contributor hub at the moment. But also we have the sitcom scorecard that has been put back, and we do have a few new guest contributors, but not official yet. They've been posting under TV Ratings Guide account, though that's just recently been sent on email.
And you could find out more on everything that's available today for the TV Ratings Guide at the TVRatingsGuide.com. You should follow them on social media where you get the updates there, but you also can go to the TVRatingsGuide.com again for their original content, all their contributor posts, all the stuff that's going on with the Renew Cancel Index, the sitcom scorecard, reviews, so much more. It's all available today at the TVRatingsGuide.com. Well, my friend, it's been great talking to you once again. I cannot thank you enough for stopping by. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Well, some last thoughts. Make sure to keep watching television, or else the ratings are going to continue bleeding for the long term.
And in case of some shows, some networks, and the wrestling wars, it is bleeding heavily right now. No pun intended there. But there's also the fact that there's a lot of shows that are benefiting from this time in the stay-at-home quarantine area. Jessica, I wanted to say to you and to everyone out there, please stay safe. I hope everyone continues to be healthy out there. Hope everyone continues to listen out there to what's going on here, but also check out everything going on at the TV Ratings Guide. Stay healthy, stay safe, and with all is well, if all goes well, I hope to see you next month for a May TV update.
I'll definitely be coming back because I don't have the virus, luckily.
Luckily, and let's keep it that way. Once again, it's Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check her stuff out today and all the other great articles and reviews and so much more at the TVRatingsGuide.com. My friend, it's been great talking to you as always. Cannot thank you enough for being part of the pop culture cosmos.